Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Content Chat. I'm your host, Erica Heald, and we're taking a little break from our usual format of spending an hour over lunchtime here in the Pacific time zone at 3 o'clock, coffee break time Eastern. And instead of having a guest where we're talking about some big, thorny, or inspiring content marketing topic, instead, because it's summertime, we're going to do things a little bit differently. You see, last night I was at the Tower Theater here in Sacramento, which is a beautiful, historic building that is now part of the Angelica movie theater group. And we watched The Phoenician Scheme. And as the main character says, pretty frequently during the course of that film, I had a brainwave. And that brainwave was, let's do something a little bit differently so that way we can all take advantage of the beautiful weather and extra daylight hours. Because even though I think our conversations are pretty darn inspiring and worth every minute of the time that we spend recording them, I also know that we all want to have more free time to spend on the patio, to spend in our gardens, and just out there soaking up the sun. So, with that in mind, we are going to have a summer of Content Chat shorts. This week, we're going to start by kicking off our annual summer reading challenge. And if you're here for the first time for this, the summer reading challenge is about a lot more than just books. You see, the last time I actually participated in a summer reading challenge was at my local library branch. And I was pretty happy to see that they've expanded it in the same way that they've expanded the services that the libraries provide. So now the summer reading challenge isn't just for tracking how many books you read. It also allows you to track any kind of learning experience. So it can include visiting a museum. It can include listening to audio. It can include, participating in some sort of activity. It's just so much more broad than only reading books. So in that spirit, that's what we're going to be doing for this year's Content Chat Summer Reading Challenge as well. I promised that I would be sharing with you guys, as a result, a few things that I'm reading to get you thinking about what you can put on your bedside reading table or on that table on your patio where you have a really good comfy chair that you like to sit. So I'm going to start off with something I recently read that was suggested to me by one of my guests here in Content Chat. And it's impossible to ignore creating memorable content to influence decisions. So, of course, this is something that I think is really helpful for any kind of content marketing professional who wants to be thinking through ways to have more impactful content. It's engaging, it's a really fast read, and I think it'll help you reframe a little bit, like we were talking with Annie last week, reframe around how you're approaching some of your content to make sure that you're always putting your audience first. Now, the other book I want to recommend to you guys this week is not marketing or content related at all. It is called How to Let Things Go. And it is 100% about taking a Zen Buddhist monk approach to relinquishing control and free yourself up for what matters. And I think summer is a really good time to hit the pause button on some of those things that we're doing because we've always done them or because we're used to doing them. Hit pause and then think about, do you really need to be doing those things? Or can you think about things that you're doing a little bit differently? What's nice about this book is each one of the tips is literally just a page. So it's the kind of thing where you can sit down and read it all the way through if you really need that kind of a hard reset. But you can also just keep it on your desk. And when you're taking those little breaths between meetings or when you need a break from whatever you're doing, this is actually a fantastic book to go ahead and just pick up, open to a page, and take in one of those moments and reflect upon it. I highly recommend it. Now, I also want to share something that is actually a fantastic example of content marketing that just showed up in my mailbox. This is the Faraday Chronicles second volume, And this is from a clothing brand that makes some pretty awesome clothes. I have a few of their dresses. But what I like is they came up with a publication that has some really great on-brand pieces of content, including, making things that some summer inspiration. They have, some things about craftsmanship, all sorts of good things. Yeah, everyone's incredibly good looking and stylish because they're wearing the Faraday clothes. So it's not maybe 100% pure content marketing, but it definitely, for me, is one of those examples that I think we can all look to for something that starts moving in that direction, as well as being the kind of mail that somebody will pick up and open because it isn't just a catalog selling you things. Yep, you're seeing their clothes in action, but you're also learning a lot more about the brand ethos. And it wouldn't be summer if I wasn't doing some foodie kind of reading. And I definitely have a lot of back issues of magazines to catch up on from earlier in the year. But one of my favorites that I love is Milk Street. If you've never read an issue of Milk Street, what makes it different from a lot of other publications is, yep, it's got all sorts of like good things to cook, but it also gives you a good amount of story along with those recipes. So in a way, it kind of reminds me of Saveur magazine. So yeah, spoiler alert, I actually like to hear a little bit about the origin of a dish or of a special food that's outside of my usual repertoire. I'm not looking for the skip to recipe button, and that includes in the magazine. All right. We are just a few minutes after the hour, but as I promised, we're keeping it short for Content Chat this summer. So that's your first edition of our summertime shorts for Content Chat, and next week we'll be back with the usual format. I can't wait to hear what you're reading. So drop me a comment and let me know what I should add to my reading list next. Bye, everybody. See you next week.